First question up, how do you feel about the $2 million deficit in the recently approved city budget?
Well, I stated at the recent candidate forum that we can no longer spend more than we're bringing in. At some point, things are going to come back and bite us if we don't stop overspending. And you know, I commend the council for some of the things they've done with that 15% that was put in that fund to, you know, take care of some of the tough situations. But you know, we're down. We can't keep doing that. We have to have a balanced budget. We can't spend more than we bring in.
To balance that budget, would you vote in favor of a tax increase?
No, I would not be in favor of a tax increase. That's not the way to stimulate business and get the economy going. One of the questions that was asked as well is it people or business? Well, I've seen a lot of people leave because there's no business here. It's kind of a chicken before the egg thing, but I said we needed business, and I still maintain we need business here to keep people here. We do need the rooftops to bring other businesses in, but we need to continue to stabilize the businesses we have here and take care of the people we have here, and that's, in my opinion, we have to bring some business to town.
Okay. Same question. How do you feel about increasing fees or licenses to help balance the budget?
You know, I'm not necessarily in favor of increasing. I'd have to look and see what you're talking about. I mean, are there some discretionary fees where it's you know, you decide whether you go and utilize that? Well, maybe we look at that. Where it's a direct tax, I'm definitely not for that. But where it's discretionary and it's you know, it's people's discretionary income, it's not something that they're mandatory to shell out money. You know, we'd have to take a look at that. But I'd have to see what specifically people are looking at and see what kind of revenues could be generated if that were the case. You know, the one thing you don't want to do is you want to increase the fee, and then the utilization of that, whatever it is, that drops the overall revenue. You know, there's pros and cons to that.
Traditionally, those kinds of increases in fees, very frequently they are increases in business license fees. We've also seen increases in garbage collection. We've seen increases in sewage treatment rates. So these are some of the areas where fees have been increased in the recent past. So looking at those kind of fee increases, is that something you would favor?
No, well, and I kind of look at those as more of a, you know, it's more like a glorified, I don't necessarily call it a fee. I think that's actually a tax. I mean, yeah, there's a service provided, but it's a, you know, you have to utilize that service. It's not like optional to you. And I've seen, you know, those things that have been increased, and I'm not in favor of that, no.
Okay. Next question. Would you vote to bring back Tim Hacker as city manager?
I stated the other day that it's time to move on. The decision was made. I think that that's the way it needs to stay. The city's still running. Things are fine. I think that we just move on and look in another direction.
One of the things that's been brought up in relation to that question is the idea of actually eliminating the city manager position. Is that something that you would support?
I think that it's something that we seriously need to look at. The structure of how the city is actually, how it functions, how it runs. Sometimes we get managers that you know, maybe they're too strong. The council relaxes too much. If there's a proper way and the citizens feel comfortable with that, I'm all in favor of that. I think it would. It might be a positive thing, but I think it's something we need to explore.
Okay. Next up, you were at the helm of the Virgin Valley Water District through 2007. Now there are comments being made, kind of blaming you for the corrupt or for not seeing the corruption that has now been exposed over at the Water District. What's your response to that?
I believe my term ended the end of 2006, if I recall. That's the way I remember it. So I wasn't there for 07, 08, 09, 010. I will say my record is there. You can see the things that I questioned. I asked a lot of questions. I was not a popular guy with hydrologist manager and the previous water attorney. Those that know me and were involved and paid attention down there, they can see the votes. There was a lot of times there was one guy that held out. There was no vote, and that was me. Sometimes there was 3-2. I was always one of the two. I questioned some things with the way things were done. I was didn't think I got the straight answers, but I couldn't ever find you know, the smoking gun. I sensed that there was challenges, and I asked questions, and I didn't feel that I often received the truth. It was a sad day when this thing came down with the water, where we traded 89 shares of good Bunkerville water for water that was questionable. I went down there after that fact and made a statement. I wasn't sure that was a wise decision, and of course those people that were there at the time assured me that, oh yeah, time will tell, it was a great decision. Time has told, and I will stand by what I stood for there. I stood for the people there, and I'll stand for them here, and I'm not afraid to stand up. I don't look across the fence to see who's behind something. I look at something for what it is, and I will question things, and I always have. And anybody that wants to call me and talk to me about my record down there and what's going on and what I know, I'd be glad to sit down and visit with them.
One of the things that's a little different about the Water District compared to the City Council, you served as president of the Water District, but the president doesn't have nearly the power or authority as the mayor's position. For example, president of the Water District does not have veto authority. So because of that, you didn't have any more power or authority than any other board member. Is that correct?
That's correct. As the president, I ran the meetings and you know, was involved there, but I had a vote just like everybody else. But you're absolutely right. There was no way to veto something. Maybe that's something that needs to be looked at down there at the Water District, because a lot of times we weren't given all the facts. I talked to a lot of people and did my homework, but when people try to manipulate things, it's hard to get to the bottom of the manipulation. And as I said before, I'll stand by what I stood for there, and I'll continue to ask questions wherever I serve.
Okay.